Right, well, this was actually a pleasantly unexpected. I actually enjoyed this episode. I actually really enjoyed this one. This one definitely, I think this one might actually be my favourite of Series 11. Granted, that is not saying much, but yeah, I actually really enjoyed this episode. And also, I kind of laughed at the fact, spoiler alerts, but I kind of laughed at the fact that the bubble wrap was explosive. It just kind of reminded me of the mentality of the bubble wrap monster from the 60s and 70s, who, although, to be honest, bubble wrap, to be honest, I can only think of, the only bubble wrap monks I can really think of from Doctor Who is from the Ark in Space, at least off the top of my head. But yeah, to be honest, this actually had some pretty good twists in it. It was a nice little mystery thing, and the red herrings kind of actually worked. The red herrings were made to be, obviously, really obvious red herrings, though I think it kind of went in a reversal, because the thing is, with Doctor Who, normally these red herrings and that turn out just to be the villain, that I was expecting, oh, evil business corporate man at the top of the food chain, and that he's going to be the one behind it, and that's, to be honest, that was what I was expecting. And the fact that, no, it wasn't him at all, and it was a character that you didn't really pay attention to. Now, to be honest, when I think about it, they could have gave him a bit more development, to be honest, because up until that point he was just an absolute nothing character. He was just basically a cleaner and nothing else. So it would have been nice maybe if they'd given him a little bit of development, though it did help with the surprise, so I can understand, at least on that front, of not basically revealing it, but it is basically, evil, evil Royal Mail, or if you're in the US, then evil FedEx, or, well, technically, it's more similar to Amazon, actually, than anything else, because obviously it's a company where people order products and they deliver them, so really, if you had any comparisons, then it would be Amazon. In fact, actually, the way that they were going round the place, and that is actually exactly how Amazon workers go around uh, collecting products, put them on the production line. If you've seen any documentaries about Amazon warehouses, uh, Lee Mack was in this episode, yeah, and he might as well have just had a sign it on it round his neck saying, "Hello, I'm Lee Mack. I'm this week's guest star. Bye bye." Because to be honest, he was basically killed off shortly after being introduced. His backstory about his daughter was a bit, did feel a little bit forced in the way that, oh, we're supposed to care about his death, although it wasn't too much. He didn't give like his whole entire backstory, just like, yeah, I have a daughter, I'm here helping support her. There you go. So yeah, say, oh, and they do actually, finally, we do get to see an on-screen death, even if it is with the help of a lighting smoke effect, with that worker who basically goes into a bunker, for the lack of other description, and pops a bit of bubble wrap. Yeah, and to be honest, people say, well, that wouldn't kill everyone, deadly bubble wrap and that, because not everyone pops bubble wrap. No, but as said, it is something that you do. I mean, to be honest, every time I get a package, I generally always um, pop a bit of the bubble wrap and that all the time, just because it's fun. Although I did find a flaw in the plan, and the flaw seemed to be on these massive, massive conveyor belts. It was mentioned that, oh, by the way, the packages have bubble wrap in them, but we don't. So basically, the bubble wrap protects the package. Because the thing is, when packages are going down delivery lines like that, the reason that I've got bubble wrap is that the bubble wrap may pop, but it'll still protect the package. So you could end up having explosions on the actual the deports line. So I'm just wondering why that never happened, but it must be they must have really, really strong bubble wrap in the future. I don't know. Uh, I'm getting pretty sick. Actually, I'm getting pretty sick of the Sonic constantly being used and waved around like a fucking magic wand. Seriously, tone it down. This is each year it gets worse and worse with the Sonic Studio, but seriously, tone it down a bit. But at least it wasn't as bad as last week, waving the Sonic around. But to be honest, I did enjoy this one because it had a bit of a mystery to it, and it was actually exciting and engaging. The robots, while I was watching it just then, I was thinking, oh, why don't these robots actually do something if they are evil? But they didn't. Thankfully, even though the design was obviously took a lot of inspiration from another certain Doctor Who story, which I shall not name, but it was basically obvious where they got some of that design influence from. Though the fact is that basically that the robots were not evil in it, and I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It's just like, apart from that, it's just like an enjoyable thing. Is it, one of the greatest Doctor Who episodes ever? Is it, remarkable in any aspect? No. But it's an enjoyable 50 minutes, and it does have a nice little mystery to it. And I think that was something that lacked, because the thing is, there is a genuine threat in this episode, and I think that's the thing. The threat is genuine. The best episodes so far, for me, are Arachnids in the UK and Kablam. And why? Because there's a genuine threat and there's general motivation for the characters as well to continue, with what they're doing and that, and there's engagement in the story, and that is something that has been seriously lacking throughout this series, and this perfectly demonstrates why. I will admit, the first 20 minutes did feel a bit fillery-ish in terms of setup, but when it did get going, pretty well. Well, to be honest, once it did start going and that, I quite liked the pace. Also, there seemed to be... Was it just me, or was that seemed to be a Prisoner reference with that garden area? I don't know, it kind of reminded me of The Prisoner for some reason, but yeah, it doesn't say that, the business is all great and wonderful and that. It doesn't say that. It says, no, that it still needs to be improved on, but it's not being inherently evil. It's not evil corporate business. The business and that's Kablam and that does have its flaws, only employing 10% of people rather than, having more actual real people employees rather than just fully automated. But, it's not inherently evil. It's, just business at the end of the day. Try and keep assets and that low, keep costs down. So it's not an inherently evil thing. It's just like, well, this is a bad thing that needs to be improved on, but it is. And I will say, though, the message at the end, the final confrontation with the villain, and that was a bit It kind of feels like each episode of this series kind of has a really forced hammer down your throat message. It's like, this is what needs to be improved in the world, or this was what was wrong with the world, this is what, this is racism, this is, corporate business, take it down, yada, yada, yada. It does feel, and unfortunately, it doesn't quite escape from that, just like, yeah, corporate business is evil, da 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 da, but keep going. It's just like, it's not quite as forced as it was in previous episodes. It is just a little bit at the end, and it seems to be this series' theme overall. It's like, Series 8 was like, what does the Doctor think of soldiers? And But yeah, it was. To be honest, it was a perfectly enjoyable episode. It's nothing utterly remarkable in that. I would call it better than Arachnids in the UK, but it was a nice. It was an enjoyable, engaging episode. Though to be honest, it makes me sad that we could have had 7 weeks of this. If we had had 7 weeks of this, then I would have thought Series 11 may have been the best series ever, but we haven't had 7 episodes of this. We just haven't. We've had either completely meh forgettable or complete atrociousness. So, and to be honest, more of them are meh than anything else. Most of them are completely in the middle of just being completely unremarkable, of just, 50 minutes of television. And to be honest, that's actually worse than being bad. To be honest, not apart from maybe 1 or 2 episodes of Series 11. In fact, actually, I don't think any episodes of Series 11 are on the level of, utter atrocity like Stephen Moffat or Russell T Davies would do. I'll be honest, that in a way is a bit worse, because the thing is, it's just forgettable, to be honest. I think Stu Bagfill said the best that, at least with Moffat's bad episodes, you remembered it and it was a talking point, you could discuss it. And you know what, he was perfectly right on that, but with this, with Series 11, apart from obviously this week's episode and previous weeks, it kind of feels like, It's just going to be that series that you just completely forget about, to be honest. And to be honest, I'm struggling to remember what even happened in last week's episode, to be honest. Something, a wedding in India or something along those. I'm struggling to remember it. How come, I've struggled to remember last week's episode, yet I can remember shit like fucking Hellbent and the Doctor and the Whale. I can remember those awful, awful episodes more, and at least get a discussion. And to be honest, there were a couple of bad moments in this episode, though the bad moments were just like on a so bad it's funny level, like the bubble wrap being the explosive and the bubble wrap sort of monster thing, to be honest, was such a complete ludicrous idea that, I'll be honest, when I found that out in the episode, I just laughed at it. I'll be honest, I just love that idea. It is a good idea in the end, but it's just so completely mad that I do really love it. And guess what? It wasn't written by Chris Chibnall. This episode was not written by Chris Chibnall. And I think that's the problem. Seriously, Chris Chibnall has basically written most of this series. He's written, he's wrote episodes 1, 2. He co-wrote episode 3. He wrote episode 4. I think he co-wrote episode 5 as well. So yeah, it's just like, come on. And obviously he'll be writing episode 10 as well. I can't remember who else is writing, but yeah. Is he writing episode 9 as well? But basically, it's mostly just Chris Chibnall here. And, I'll give Russell T Davies and Moffat this. You had variety in there. You had a variety of writers. And that you had, obviously the head writer, the main writer who writes the majority of episodes. But that would be like, 4 or 5 generally episodes. Most of the time, maybe 6 at a push. But with here, reducing it to 10, writing that many episodes for a series, it's like, he's basically writing, or has an involvement in writing, over half the series. So, this very stale, this is an episode, get over it, is done. I seem like I've gone off on a bit of a tangent on this one, to be honest. And it does have the similar feel of there's less to talk about, but it is an enjoyable episode. And I do like the design of the robot, even though, they're blinking of it. I would have liked them to basically do a bit more in the episode. Basically, the robot snack did feel a little bit wasted in it. I would have liked it to maybe have, I don't know, maybe a couple more scenes of evil robots, or the taking over ones in it. That would have been nice to have maybe another scene or two in it. But it's fine. It's fine. But next week's episode, I'm going back to worrying again. Why am I going back to worrying? Because all the historicals this series, in fact every episode this series, is being very, very political. And oh god, can I imagine what next week's is going to be like. But I was wrong about this one, so I'm more than willing to be proven wrong. Just because I'm expecting to hate does not mean I wanted to hate. I was expecting to hate this episode, and while I didn't come off absolutely loving it, I enjoyed it. I really did like it. So I want to be proven wrong with this. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.